Today is my third time on a split board. I've been snowboarding over half my life, but that was all in the Midwest. I was riding terrain parks and 400-foot tall hills. I had always dreamed about riding in the backcountry though. So I moved out to Montana and I got myself a split board. So now I get to combine my two favorite things, which are hiking and snowboarding. For me, splitboarding is only a little bit about snowboarding. Mostly it's about getting out into nature, getting away from the crowds at the ski resorts, and enjoying the hike up. Since I'm just starting out, I'm doing some of the easier runs in the area. Avalanche danger is pretty low and the terrain and all that is pretty easy. I'm going to keep my risk as low as possible. And I'm just going to have to settle for kind of a lower reward. But as I gain more experience and as I spend more time in the mountains, I'm going to feel a little bit more comfortable taking higher risks. I think that's kind of what getting out into the wilderness is all about. Learning to manage the ratio between risk and reward. Just finished my level 1 avalanche training class. We spent 3 days out in the mountains and a couple nights in the yurt. It was really fun and also really humbling just to learn about all the different ways that you can die in the mountains from the snow. So that has definitely made me more cautious as I venture out into the backcountry, but also a lot more excited because there's a lot to learn out here and it's going to be fun gaining all that experience. Okay, so up there is the place that I want to ride. I have found a spot that's relatively safe and also representative of the same type of slope as that spot up there. So this is where I'm going to dig the avalanche pit. Well, this is definitely the deepest pit I've ever dug. First is the hand test, where I just kind of punch into the side of the wall. First with my fist, if it gets harder, then I use 4 fingers. If it gets too hard for that, then 1 finger. Okay, so it's pretty consistent the whole way down. It's about fist hardness, right about till here. And then I got the 4 fingers, right till here. And then 1 finger basically all the way down. There's a little bit of an icy layer right about here, but it's not too loose underneath, so I'm not too worried about that. After that, I'm going to cut out a column on both sides and then use my shovel to pull on it to see if I can get it to break anywhere. Whoa. Kind of 2 interesting things happened there. At first, the whole block slid way down on the bottom layer here. And then I moved the shovel just a little bit more and this whole block slid too. And then after that, it's the column test where I isolate a 30 centimeter square column and then tap on that to see if I can get it to fail. Alright, that is a good result. I did all 30 taps and no cracking. The column is still stable. So that's a good sign. And then the final and kind of most important test is the extended column test. and same result. This column still looks really stable. So I'm gonna go up there. It's looking pretty good. The more I learn about snow conditions in the mountains, the more I realize how much I don't know. That motivates me to get out as much as possible, to put my time in out here, because there is no substitute for experience. Having my first successful run in avalanche terrain gave me confidence to explore further. That would mean staying out for the night on my next trip in the Crazies. Of course, confidence can get a person into trouble out here. So I try to always keep that in the back of my mind as I venture further into bigger terrain. The sun is starting to go down and I'm trying to get to a little alpine lake to camp at. Right now I am just ready to get into camp. It has been a long day and I am pretty exhausted. It turned out to be a beautiful morning. And now I'm in this bowl, surrounded by awesome terrain in pretty much every direction. To start out with, I think I'm going to go check out this kind of steeper tree run over here. Tell me how cold it is outside.
It's bikini weather.
Bikini weather.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a balmy. My truck said -26, and I think Alex's car said -20.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's a little chilly this morning, but no wind, bluebird skies. I don't really think we could have asked for a better day, at least. So
Yeah, it is beautiful out.
Dude, stoke level's like not even measurable right now. It's 10 out of 10 for sure.
But with so many ski lines we're seeing, tracks down stuff is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. kind of is making us go, well, let's keep practicing, because maybe in the future. Oh my gosh.
Since avalanches can happen at just about any time in the backcountry, it's important that we trust our partners and their abilities to assess avalanche conditions and perform rescues if necessary. I didn't want to be the person who was a liability to the group, so I made an attempt to gain some experience on my own before riding with friends. Now that I had some training and some time to practice those skills, we all felt a little bit more comfortable riding together.
Stoked. I haven't shot a gun in a bit.
Fuck. Here we go.
Lift out over here.
A lot of this stuff is like almost doable.
It's fine.
Oh, here's some tracks. A deer bed. Unstrapping is the last resort. Yeah, there's a creek here. I think I just saw an owl.
Oh yeah?
And I think I just saw him land right up there.
Hey bud. A lot of snow too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool looking.
Alright. We should go right to that big tree.
Guaranteed to be able to ride down now. Good job. Snow conditions and weather didn't allow us to get into the kind of terrain that we were hoping to find in the Crazies. So JR loads up his snowmobiles, and we head down to West Yellowstone and the Madison Range to find some bigger terrain.
All right.
How's it feel?
Feel like I'm going to the moon.
Yeah. We're ready to stay out here for a week.
Yeah.
This is my first snowmobile trip.
Phew.
Yeah, this is gonna be sweet. I'm gonna take the snowmobiles up to kind of a saddle on the ridgeline. That'll kind of be like a base camp. Then we'll split board out from there and look for some good stuff to ride. We're gonna be getting up into some pretty big terrain. So this is kind of more exciting, kind of higher consequence stuff that we're getting into here. So definitely feels good to be doing it with a partner.
It's curious. What are these things? God, that's so amazing. I love this time of year because it's still like winterish, you know. You got plenty of snow to play in, and you have tons of daylight to do it.
Luxury camping here. We're getting by.
Yeah. Some pastaroni. Perfect.
Cheers. Cheers.
This is living.
Yeah. Got some more red pepper flakes too if you want it spicier.
Oh, nice. It's got a great spice to it.
They're not afraid of us.
Oh, God.
All right, yeah, that's gonna be a good drop right there.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. This is what it's all about.
Yep, that's why we're
doing
here. Oh yeah!
Yeah!
That was so sick. You got a face shot. The snow is so good in there.
Yeah, it was amazing snow. Just climbed up the ridge again to find our friendly grouse friend again.
Hey.
Let me strap in. So crusty. This is the worst part of the day.
Then you hold it there, let it melt some of the ice.
Is it in?
Yeah. Victory.
We are blessed with another beautiful day. So now JR is going to drop in off of this cornice up here. Normally you want to stay far away from cornices. They're pretty unpredictable, and if they break that could be a big deal. But the stability is looking so good today that we're pretty confident that they're going to stay in place. And that makes for a pretty cool drop.
That weird kind of roll.
Oh! It's flat and heavy, but fun.
Yeah, no, it does look pretty flat. Oh, I could have stuck that out. Woo! Yeah, that was sick.
That was so sick.
We both cleared that bump too.
Yeah. It was farther away than I thought. I was like going too slow into it, and I was like, oh, I guess I gotta point this thing. Nice.
All winter my friends have talked about spring conditions. That's when the snow starts consolidating. Weak layers begin melting along with everything else, then they freeze again at night, creating higher stability in the snowpack. What that means for us is that spring is the time to go for bigger lines. We're a couple miles in to the skin track, and as you can tell there's not much snow on the road so far. But now we're starting to get into some little bit higher elevation, and it looks like we'll have snow the rest of the way. Then up at the basin where we're going to camp, snow's looking pretty good up there, so that's promising. I hope we don't have a lot of these. And we're staying out here for 2 nights, so we'll have plenty of time to explore, and we might go after some of the bigger lines. Now that the spring conditions are setting in, that stuff is probably going to be a little bit safer. So now is finally the time to start going after some of that stuff. Heading up for our first line of the trip, and we're just going to follow the tracks of those people we saw hiking up earlier. And it's going to be an awesome run right back to our camp. Ooh, this is gonna be steep.
That's amazing! Oh my god, guys. That's amazing. Woo!
Alright, I'll stake her down. Holy shit.
Are you okay?
You alright, man?
I think so. It doesn't look deep, does it?
But that was from the wind? Blew a stick into your face?
Yeah, dude, I had that thing 3 stakes in, like big fat sticks, and it flew up and over, and then the stake just.
Damn, dude. Oh.
Well, we're definitely in the crazies, guys.
Everybody's bleeding.
Everyone's bleeding, the tents are flying, the fucking wind's going, but we got some great snow.
Surfing.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah!
spring meltdown has begun. It kind of just looks like the tops of the mountains are shedding all their snow. Pretty much every avalanche path there is has an avalanche. So I'm on pretty high alert as I'm moving through this terrain. I think I just heard an avalanche too. If I was in this situation just 3 or 4 months ago, I probably would have turned around by now. Back then I didn't have any experience to rely on, so I just assumed that everything was really dangerous, which is definitely the right way to start out. Well, it looks like this is home for tonight. I'm standing in the debris field of a pretty big avalanche. I've never seen an avalanche like this so close up. This is pretty interesting. This one looks like it was triggered by a cornice collapsing way up on top of the ridge. And you can see these huge chunks of snow. Pretty deep debris pile over there too. It looks like it's probably 10 feet deep at least. That would not be good to get buried in that. Well, this avalanche activity is telling me to stick to shallower slopes right now. So I think this is kind of the culprit for a lot of the avalanches that I'm seeing around here. The snowpack actually isn't that unstable, but this top couple inches right here is extremely wet. It's really warm out. It's like 60 degrees right now. And this is kind of what's like sloughing off of the cliffs and steeper spots. And once a bunch of this stuff collects, it all kind of like rolls together, and that's why we're seeing a whole bunch of those loose, wet snow avalanches. Not so many big slab avalanches, but just like kind of the loose, wet stuff. But we're not seeing any persistent weak layers or buried weak layers or anything like that. At least I can't find them. Oh, that was dumb. That was not a good idea. Oh, the snow was so sticky on the landing. Saw a little jump and I wanted to go off of it. Today is kind of a big day. Something that we've been looking forward to for a while, or at least planning for a long time. We're going up Saddle Peak today. Saddle Peak is this big peak right next to Bridger Bowl, and it just looks amazing. Everybody who rides here looks over at that and wants to ride down it. But it is a pretty dangerous place to ride. There's some pretty big cliffs that you have to ride over, and if there is any sort of slide, it would probably take you over those cliffs. So it's not something to be taken lightly. And that's why we're doing it here at the end of May. It's almost June. The snow has had a lot of time to melt and kind of consolidate. So everything is probably pretty stable right now. The only thing that we have to worry about are wet slides. And that's why we're out here early in the morning. The sun just came up. By the time we get up to the peak, the sun will have been on the slope for probably a couple hours. The only downside of spring skiing is we have a long hike out now. Can't be riding back to the car now that the snow line is pretty high up the mountain. It's the 5th of July. We're out here in the Northern Bridgers, and there's a little bit of snow still. It's been probably a month since I've been on my snowboard. Since the weather's been warming up, I've been preoccupied with other things like hiking, like most people are doing in the summer. But there are spots around Montana that'll hold snow all summer long. So as long as we're willing to put in the work to get to those little snow patches, we can still ride. Alright. That was fun. I'll send it to you. Should we hop in? Oh, I couldn't do that. As you think about it, I go. I could keep snowboarding all summer out here, but the snow patches are getting smaller and the hikes in are getting longer. At a certain point, it's just not really worth it anymore. Besides, summer is backpacking season, and that's half the reason why I moved out here. On these hikes, I'll be scouting out new locations for next winter. It's already August, so snowboard season is just around the corner.